So please, put your hands together and give me a nice Canadian-style success tour welcome for Mr. Scott Stratten.
I know I was supposed to start dancing, or not. Hi. You're so nice. I'm going to try a few of Brian techniques shortly. So I am Canadian. Anybody here not Canadian? Get out. You think we're polite and kind, but no. Get out. You'll be stopped at customs. So I am actually from the area here. I'm actually from Oakville. And, right? Bunch of jackasses we are, yes. It automatically makes me pretentious and judgmental of everybody in this room right now. I don't even take the GO train. That's how Oakville I am. Right? We only had a few rules growing up. Was if you stole a bike from a kid in Burlington, you blamed a kid from Milton. And don't go to Scarborough. That was our only rules growing up there. I apologize, Scarborough, for that. It's gotten better. Somewhat. So it's awesome to be here. One of the things I get to talk about a lot is unmarketing and unbranding and unselling. And what branding really is to me is not what you say it is. I know you guys have fancy logos and brochures and business cards with your face on it. Stop it. But what branding is when I say your name, or you say your name, or I see your billboard or something else, whatever word comes to mind, that's your brand. So this is what I do for a living, by the way. I get to go around the world, not dress as well as I should, and yell at people. That's it. It's a fancy way of me saying I don't have a job. And I've been to exotic places. We just were in Bermuda like 2 days ago. So happy to be back. I love Canada. I do. I was born here from May to August. I love it here. And so all these places, Istanbul, Australia, Thailand, like places I never thought I would go in my life. Brampton, like, amazing. Like, you should see it there, man. The food and the people are amazing. But when I used to say, like, prior to 2 years ago or so, when I used to say I was from Canada, the response was, oh, that's cute, and what are you talking about, eh? Because that joke never gets tired, Brian. Thank you. Never heard that one before. Eh? And they'd say, how's your pet polar bear? I'm like, it's fine. Do you know Jeff from Vancouver? I'm like, no, I don't. Well, I do, but I don't. I know everybody from Vancouver. And so that was the joke. But in the past 2 years, around the world, when I said I'm from Toronto, what do you think the audience shouts back to me? Rob frickin' Ford. That's what they say. Hey, you smoke crack with your mayor? I'm like, no. What have you heard? Did he tell? No, he's not. But that's the point. The entire city's brand changed overnight. That's branding. So when I say Toronto and somebody says Rob Ford, it's not a right or wrong answer. It's simply the brand impression left on them. So some people used to think Toronto, cold, Toronto CN Tower, Toronto, horrible excuse for a hockey team. Whatever it was, they'd think that. Oh, that's not funny. Is that what you're trying to tell me? That was over the line? Oh, we're just getting started. So that's the point. So when you join a real estate company, when you're part of these legacy brands in Century 21 and Royal LePage and Remax and Sotheby's and all these places you join, you're like, well, hey, then that's the brand. I'm part of that brand now. No, it's the other way around. Now their brand is part of you. and you changed that brand. Nobody has used a realtor and hated it. Nobody used a realtor and said, you know what? They're terrible. Really? They smelled funny, and they never returned my call, and they were a jerk. But man, did you see the logo? Never. Never. You are the one creating that brand. And I want to give you an example of this. If you want to throw that up there. We have the RitzCarlton here, which is a billion-dollar brand, right? It's well known. When I say RitzCarlton, give me a word that comes to mind. Oh, that's too many words. Yeah, fancy, luxury, expensive. By the way, that's the same thing, different personality, by the way. Service. It doesn't matter. 100 different answers, and you're all right. All of you are right. Psychologists say when we see a logo, we think two things. Our most recent experience with the brand, or one we've heard, and our most extreme experience with the brand, or one we've heard. Which is why when I hear RitzCarlton, I think of Joshy. That's Joshy. He's a giraffe, a poorly stuffed giraffe. He was left at the Amelia Island Resort of RitzCarlton in Florida by a kid. Did I have to say kid? Did you just assume it was a kid? It wasn't like a 48-year-old man leaving a giraffe somewhere. It would be awkward. So he left it there, and they went home to Arizona, where the child realized he left Joshy. Now, I don't know if you have kids, but what happens when they lose their favorite thing? Who here has kids that you know about? That you'd stake claim to in a court of law somewhere and be responsible for? Allison and I have 5 kids at home. Help us. Help us. So our job is to make sure that they have their favorite thing. That's it. That's pretty much your role as a parent. If they're having a good day, you are. But there's panic if it's lost. It's like if you lost your phone. Yes? That's not even funny, is it? Right? I once asked a room full of parents which would be worse, if they lost their phone at the mall or they lost their kid. Did you hear the pause? Well, the kid would go back to security. We taught them that, right? But my new iPhone, I don't think it's going back anywhere. So the father did what any good father would do, and he lied to his son, and he said that Joshy was on an extended vacation, and he's sure to return home soon, which is a great idea, Dad, except for the fact that you now have to find him. You now have to come up with him or learn how to sew or pay for the counseling lessons. So he calls up the RitzCarlton in a panic, and not only did they find him, he was rolled up in the sheets, and somebody in the hotel laundry found him. Not only did they overnight him back at no charge to the family, they also sent back photos of the extended vacation. I want you to look to your left and to your right. If that person's not smiling right now, change seats. This is telling of somebody's soul if they're not laughing at this. Is Joshy at the pool? Joshy meeting new friends at the bar? That dolphin is inappropriate. Tonight, if you're getting together with some beverages with your fellow real estate agents and you can't spot the inappropriate dolphin in the circle, you're the inappropriate dolphin. It's called self-awareness. We need to get there. We have Joshy here now working loss prevention because he has to pay for his stay, and now that he's an employee of the RitzCarlton, they have to give him an ID badge. If you didn't say "aw" there, you're what's known as a psychopath. I can't get more emotional than this. So they took the photos, they took Joshy, they took a letter from the GM and the ID badge, laminated, and overnighted it back to the family. What's one word that describes this? When I say RitzCarlton, give me a word that relates to the brand. Do you see how that changes? do you see by this one act, and it wasn't even you being involved with it, can change our view of a brand? What do you think you can do? You do that exact thing. What do you think the father did when he got the package? Other than change his pants, what did he do? He told everybody he possibly could. He blogged about it, which is where I saw it. He emailed people. He texted it to people. I need something more relatable to real estate. He faxed it to people. Not as funny as it should be, right? You got to see this. Oh, did I dial 9 first? I don't know. Jeff, is there a toner? I once had a real estate agent years ago. I had to sign a contract, and I scanned it to email it to them as a PDF because, it was 2012. And so I went and sent it to him. He's like, I'm sorry, we need you to fax us the original. The very nature of you not laughing right now is why that's a problem. You're like, yeah, well, we need the original, Scott. I don't know what his problem is. The original doesn't go through the phone. Forget it. I don't even want you to tweet or anything. I just want you to know that the actual piece of paper doesn't go through the fax line. That's how far ahead I wanted me to be in technology. This is the point. Everybody wants word of mouth. Everybody wants stories told about them or their brand and that viral marketing type of stuff. We don't all realize the one thing is we share stories, we share emotions. We share the stories we write. You can inspire the narrative, but it's the stories we tell as consumers is what gets spread. That's the point. We don't share logos. We don't share logos that are, we're not saying that severed lions' heads impaled on crowns mean nothing. Look at it. That's what it is, right? When I see this, I actually think this. Makes sense? So when you join Century 21 or Royal LePage or Remax, when you join those, you have an inherent trust built in. That's one of the reasons for joining them is the marketplace trusts the brand. That's your base. What you do after that will make or break it. Does that make sense? You are the brand, which also means everybody in this room, everybody watching online right now, you impact the brand of everybody else in that organization. Somebody is a poor agent in Toronto, it can affect an agent's brand in Vancouver. Somebody doesn't follow up well, somebody misses something and a deal falls through in Florida, that can affect somebody in Newfoundland. We affect each other's brand as we go. We have to be aware of that. We have to realize that every brand interaction, which is our own interactions, affect the brand as a whole, all the time. And so when I say one of those brands, I think of who I know in that brand and what happens, because you're the actual brand. Is this creepy at all? It's a slight bit creepy, yes? We had it made for when Unselling came out, and we have this at home in our home office, and I'm so lucky that Allison is not only the co-author of the books and the co-host of the podcast, but she's also my co-host in life. She's my wife, and I win for that. And I don't know if she does, but I do. So we have it at home. We have this up in our home office, that poster, and which is also our bedroom. And if you want to pull up that graphic again and pretend that's going to be on your bedroom wall, it's intimidating for one. I'm like, I know I'm the brand. Like, okay, all right. And you just stare at it all night. It's like Slenderman looking at you. So take it down a notch, but this is the point. This should be in your office. It should be on your phone. There should be something that says, every time I do answer the phone call or I don't, that's branding. Every time I decide to not reply to that email, or I do, or I don't, that's branding. Make sense? Every time I decide to put my face on a bus shelter bench, that's branding. Not always good branding. but that's branding. Every time I decide to knock on Scott's door and ask him if he's selling and he's not wearing pants, that's branding. I'm not wearing pants, the realtor is, but forget it. So that's the problem, is we don't understand how all this stuff works. And one of the biggest changes nowadays is the funnel. And people think, well, Scott, it's a new world and our lead generation is different now. And I'm here to tell you that it's not as much as you think it is. I'm an old school sales and marketing guy. You heard in the intro, I was a national sales training manager. I was actually the national sales training manager of a packaging company. I flew around North America training people how to sell bubble wrap. I'm going to say that again. I flew around North America training people how to sell bubble wrap. If you think what you sell is hard, I sold air. That's it. You should buy air from us. Why? Touche. I don't know. Good talking to you. All right. This system's not working for me. So the point is that I'm in a classical sense of it, meaning to me a funnel was getting their contact information and being able to follow up with it, with my marketing materials, my ability to stay in front of my audience. And that was classically a phone number or a mailing address or an email address, yes? And the classical funnel, meaning that when I sent a marketing message to them, there had to be a reaction on the other side. Not always a good one, but a reaction. The onus of reaction was on the receiver. Let me explain. When I phone you, I have to either answer it or don't. Listen to a voicemail, don't listen to it. Delete it, call back, block it, whatever. Email. I send an email to 1,000 people in my database. They have to decide to read it, not read it. Save it for later, which means they won't read it. Delete it, click on it, reply, act, spam, unsubscribe. But there was an onus of action. Yes? Mailing address. Get it out of the mailbox. Read it, don't read it, recycle it, chuck it, act on it, call, go to the website. Whatever that is, the onus of reaction is on the receiver. My problem is this new world, the wild 2.0 West, is not the same. If I have 1,000 Twitter followers and I send out a marketing message to them, 1,000 of them don't have to decide to read it, delete, reply, retweet, favorite, unfollow. If I have 1,000 Facebook fans or likes and I send something out and the Edge rank gods deem it worthy of going into somebody's news feed, 1 to 2.5% of people may see it. That's not a funnel. That's a sieve. Yes? I can't keep up with all these platforms. And I don't have a job. That's the whole sentence. I'm highly unemployable. That's what entrepreneur means in Latin, by the way. It's highly unemployable. Highly disagreeable and unemployable. But the problem, we have all these places now where you gotta be here, you gotta be here. If you take only one thing away from this talk, it's this. You do not have to use social media. People are like, is he baiting us to what's happening? Okay, man bun, okay. I'm gonna give you a second, General Zod from Superman 2, but then, it's for my old school Superman fans in the room, by the way. So, why I say this, why I say you don't need to, is because it's a terrible sales and marketing platform. And I say this out of love. I live in social media. You heard in the intro, I have 175,000 Twitter followers. I have tweeted over 110,000 times, all manual, all with my thumbs. They hurt. We have 38,000 people on our UnMarketing Facebook page. I have 8,000 connections on LinkedIn. I know 4 people in real life, by the way. I don't know who these people are. I have 3,000 Instagram followers. I don't even know what they're doing there. So I say this out of experience, love, and passion for what social is. And it's not a sales and marketing platform, and I'm so thankful for that. What it's great for is conversation, client services, and community. That's not new, by the way. That's what it's always been good for. I've been saying it since the late 2000s when social media term became something. Like, oh, how do we screw this up, Scott? It's not social media, it's just talking. How less intimidating it is when I say it's just talking. It's not a strategy. You don't need to use it. Do you want to use it? Awesome. Can it work for you? Sure. Can it not? Yes. It's just a tool. It's like a phone. You can equally screw that up and make it work. It's just a tool. What do you want from it? Do you want to support your community, or do you just like the way that sounds? And therefore, maybe I'll use that instead. It's not the smartest move when you want an ROI from it. Spam has a better click-through rate. I am not exaggerating. I'm not asking you to go use spam, but I'm not exaggerating. The click-through rates is because it's what's called fractional reaction. On Twitter, when you send a tweet, it goes away. It's just most recent things come up. Facebook has a part of its EdgeRank algorithm called time decay, which means the older it is, the less chance it's going into somebody's feed. It's supposed to be conversational. Connect with people you know on there. That's what it can be used for. Let me show you this crazy graphic again of this train wreck up here. Even MySpace is up there, for crying out loud. What's wrong with me? 51 million people per month currently use MySpace. I don't know who these people are, but it's for more comedy and music, which is what it started out as. Just because people are there doesn't mean you have to be. If you're comfortable with it, if it's in your wheelhouse, go nuts. But if your gut is telling you, I don't get it, I don't want to use it, or my time is better spent doing other things, then go with that. The person who tells you you have to be on social media is probably telling you that because they sell a social media service. Yes? I wonder why. It's like somebody coming and telling you you need to sell your house. It's because you make money from that? Is that why? Be careful where the money flows from. We don't take clients. I don't do consulting anymore. I had to get out of consulting when I realized I hate people. Are you like that too? Right? Right? If it wasn't for people, real estate would be so much easier. Yes? So much easier. Same as with consulting. So we stopped doing that stuff. So I don't care. I don't care what you think right now. I'm honest. I have no back end here. Just want to tell you the truth of what I know and see living in the digital trenches. But people are like, Scott, we gotta stay on top of this stuff. The millennials. The millennials are coming. What do we do? I don't know what to do. They're coming. They're coming. We have to stay hip with the kids, man. First of all, when you say millennials, you don't mean that, because you actually don't know what that means. People don't even know the demographic of that. It's actually 18 to 35-ish. Who here is 18 to 35? Hands up. Oh God, they're already here. They're in the room. Now only communicate through landlines so they won't hear us. Maybe record it on a tape and give it to you and use your Walkman. They won't know. They won't know. Shh. They don't even get that joke. What we mean when we say millennial is people younger than us, and we don't like them. I saw a post, a headline on a blog that says, millennials don't like meetings. Who the hell likes meetings? Who is like, I'd rather go and sit around a boardroom table right now, actually, instead of eating or doing nothing. What we mean is people younger than us, and we just rather they suffer a little bit like us. They have no idea what it means. My father walked to school backwards, uphill on hands both ways in snow. I faxed uphill both ways. They have no idea the pressure of sitting with your ghetto blaster with play, record, and pause, waiting for the song. If the DJ would only shut up for a second, and then you let it go, and then you ran out of tape, so then you had to put scotch tape over the things to re-record on the tape. You have no idea what it means like that, children. Look at our faces. This is the face of rewinding and fast forwarding. This is the face of discovering MP3s and downloading them. It took 48 minutes, and then your mom picks up the phone halfway through and ruins the download. I have Winamp all queued up to listen to it, and we can't even do that. Look at this face. Millennials, be kind to us. Be kind to us. I feel bad for millennials. I really do for you. Everything you've done is documented in real time. We should just, us non-millennials, should just be thankful that our teenage years were like private. Whew. The only archive of my late teens, the train wreck they were, are in my head and my mom's nightmares. That's it. We should be thankful we don't have an Instagram timeline. So be kind to them. Be nice to them. Understand that the reason why they have hope is because they're young. That'll go away. But you have to have it go away on their own. They're like, millennials like to travel. I'm like, what the fuck? Who doesn't? We just have a mortgage now and stuff we have to do. It's called being young, right? That's it. They are the millennials. If you want to do stereotyping, do it right. Millennials give more than any other generation, times 3 than any other generation. They volunteer more. They actually are changing the world. And I think that's exciting. I think that's awesome. And combined with your experience and their naive knowledge of technology early on, you can come together and do something. But what I don't want you to do is rushing your way to digital because you're going to feel like you're left behind. You won't be. You're not. You're in this business for a reason. Be you. Do you. Because your only authentic self is your only competition and competitive advantage. If you are your authentic self, you have no competition. I couldn't give a damn about somebody's Twitter account when you touch here with me, when you connect with me, when I trust you. No Instagram campaign's gonna change that and make me go to another realtor if I connect with you. That's the difference. I don't like fear-based stuff. I don't like the fear of being left out, the fear of being left behind. It's not true. It's not true. Technology's wonderful. I'm a huge geek. I've been online since '95. I love it. I've been to every website. Every website, by the way. All of them. And it's amazing, but it's only a complement to what you are. You don't have to use all of it or none of it. It's up to you which way you want to go. How people buy, we use this called the hierarchy of buying. And Brian talked a lot about this. And the number one reason people do business with somebody is it's a current satisfied customer. The higher up the hierarchy you go, the lighter the blue is, that's you. The dark blue is your competition. At the very top is current satisfied customer. Next down is a referral by a trusted source. Below that's a current relationship but have yet to purchase. The next one down is a recognized expert in the field, and then we get through search, and at the very bottom is the dreaded cold call. See more competition, more people involved, all the way to the top where you get up there that nobody's your competition. And that's where I obviously want you to aim for. I never want you to have a race to the bottom. I never want you having the discussion saying, well, you know, I could do this for sale by owner. I don't need you. I want you to walk away. Actually, I want you to punch him in the face first and then walk away. I think it's still legal here. We can do that, right? It's one, you can do it once, so make it good. Up, not straight. So, and because I don't want you ever justifying your value. I don't. You have value. Somebody wants to go and use it and do it on their own, good luck. And when you come back to me because you want me to use it, I double the commission. That's how it is. It's called tiered pricing now, right? That's what I want you to do. I don't want you to see who can swim fastest to the bottom. I want you to stay on the top. I'd rather have half the potential clients than dealing with that other half that just drain you. Right? Brian called it the D leads, right? Get rid of them. Walk away. Focus on those A pluses and those A's. That's where I want you to go. That's who I want you to be with. I want you to be focusing on that top, to be a current satisfied customer. Now, the key word here is satisfied, okay? You have to find out where your clients are. Are they ecstatic, static, or vulnerable? We call this the pulse. And you got to take their pulse. How do you take their pulse? Well, here's your MBA graduate answer here for you. You ask them. You talk to them. When you're saying hello, when you're dropping by, when you're saying hi, when you're grabbing coffee, that's when you find these things out. You know how this pulse dies and drops off? When you drop out of their memory. When you're no longer in their memory banks. UnMarketing, the whole tagline for that was staying in front of your target market so when they have a need for your product or service, they choose you without hesitation. Are you staying in front of them? And not just staying in front of them, staying in front of them something that's good or fun or helpful. Every interaction's a pivot point that makes it go up or down. Every phone call, every mail out, every touch point, every time I see you at a Chamber of Commerce event, that's a pivot point. And what are we doing to create those points that make them go up? The next one on this list is referral by a trusted source. And what I want to focus on here is finding the exponential referral, the person that can refer you to a lot of people, the person with influence, the person that has reach and already built-in trust in the community. I'm talking about a person like me. I have a problem overall with realtors. It's not that I don't like you. I don't like what you do in marketing. Makes sense? You're about to leave. You're like, okay, and screw you. So, no, in marketing, meaning because what I see a lot in real estate marketing is it's all about your face. Everywhere. I saw a for sale sign a few weeks ago that was 2/3 the realtor's face. I didn't know what she was selling. Her face or the house. Everything in the marketing says it's all about you, the client, but every marketing piece material is your face. That's not what it's about. And so when I've been living in Oakville for a very long time in Oakville, and I didn't have a realtor. And most realtors don't want to come up to me because my job is yelling at them for the most part and getting mad. We have a show. Our show is called the Podcast, the business show for the fed up. Our job is exposing terrible marketing practices, which, by the way, is wonderfully filled a lot with real estate things. The story example of a real estate agent in Manhattan who jumped off his balcony and killed himself. And his office 3 days later sent letters to everybody in the building saying, we're so upset and sorry. We are still here for you to fulfill your real estate needs. So you see why I say I hate what you do sometimes? It's not you personally. It's the person beside you. So it's not, that's Jeff. He'd totally do that. Yep, of course. Right? This is what I'm talking about. So I want to tell you a story of the unrealtor. The only type of realtor that could ever get to me. So I was doing a talk at the Oakville Milton Real Estate Board a while ago, a year or so, two ago. And there was a realtor in the audience named Petrus. And he saw me talk and he's like, that guy. I want to be that guy's realtor. Now that took guts because I spent the entire hour telling people in real estate how terrible they are doing things. And he's like, that's what I want. It tells you about his personality. It's like, that guy. So he decides, hey, I want to get noticed. I gave him all the tools in my talk of what to do, all the tools, and only one person has ever done anything. And he went and did some recon. He did some research. He watched the podcast. He watched the Vegas 30, which is Allison and I's other podcast, which is Vegas for people over 30. It's called Too Old to Stand in Line, Too Young to Retire to Bingo, right? Vegas is a different place at 38 than it is at 21, right? You're going to bed, people are going out. So that's how it works. So he watched it, and he watched an episode of us talking about an incredible independent donut store called Ronalds Donuts in Chinatown in Vegas. We saw it because it had 422 Yelp reviews, 5 stars. We went into it, and it's like in a strip mall, and it's all like windows are all closed up, and it says cash only. It's like, this is where you buy heroin. Like, this is how it works, right? But Yelp told us to go, so we did, and it was incredible, incredible. So he saw the show, and he said, that. And one day, Allison opens our front door, and sitting on the front step is a dozen Ronalds Donuts. Fresh from Ronalds Donuts. Flown, unbeknownst to us, from somebody who worked for the same real estate company, flew them over on a trip back to Toronto as his carry-on. He's going through customs. You have anything to declare? Donuts. And Allison's like, why are there donuts on our front porch? And as she got to porch, I'm already downstairs. I'm already like, free donuts! And I just start shoveling them into my pie hole. Like, oh, and she's like, you don't even know who those are from. I'm like, I don't know. You should come for a sleepover. And I'm in such of a sugar high, I'm not thinking, how did he get our home address? I'm just wondering if this is gonna be a weekly delivery or not. And inside the box is a card from Petrus and says, we hear you like donuts. I do like donuts. But that's it. He wasn't standing there saying, huh? Huh? You want to buy a house? Come on, 12 donuts, hello. He didn't. And I tracked him down online. I'm like, dude, you're awesome. He's like, hey, loved your talk, thank you. I'm like, he's doing a little reverse ninja mind screw on me now. You want me to buy a house? No. Oh, are you saying I can't buy a house? I'll buy 3. You got some more donuts? So it just turns out that day we were going in to record the show. So we went in to the studio with the donut box and us recording a show. So Petrus the Donut Man is now the star of our show. And we went bananas. And then every season, every quarter, on our front porch is a beautiful glossy magazine from Sotheby's. And with a little card from him, and on the very back was the local listings and what they sold for and everything else. Hand delivered, dropped off, not in our community mailbox, on our front step with our names on the front. But he never stood there and went, magazine. House now? Are you in the market? No, he just put it there. I was one of his A+. And he kept in front of us. So this past March, being 5 kids, we merged families. By the way, it was like a hostile takeover. We merged families. It's a merger, and we had a stock price swap. And so we got together, and we were living in a house that would not fit us, 7 of us. 6 now, one's off to college. I think he's there. And we're paying for it. I don't know if he's there. So we're like, well, Alice and I were talking, we're like, well, let's look at next March. So in the next year, we'll move. We'll get a house. Which means in the next week, we'll get a house. Because you can't look at a house and go, well, this is nice. Oh, well, and walk out of it. So who do you think we called to look at houses? Petrus the Donut Man. And we called him like, hey, we're looking at and he's at the door. Hey, man. Whatever time it was, we ended up buying the second house we saw. Right? I know, right? I heard that's rare. We actually put our offer on the first one. Easiest, thing of all of clients. We found our dream home. We found the place we always wanted to move to. That's us. Went off to college, but that's the rest of us. And it is the greatest house of all time. And Petrus is the one who helped us with it. That's him right there on the right. He's here today. Where are you, sir? Petrus, where are you? There he is right there. Give him a round of applause right there. Wave again. By the way, they all hate you now. Oh, great. Now that's the bar we have to go to. We're making donut orders. We actually went out for dinner a few weeks ago. And I'm like, as if I'd ever go out for dinner with a real estate agent. Are you crazy? We didn't. We went out for dinner with friends. We did. We have 5 kids. We don't go out anywhere. We go to Walmart and then bring it home by the bulk case of bags of rice and stuff like that. And so we did. And they're friends to us. He's not a realtor. They're great people, and that's the difference. Know, like, and trust. That's why people do business with you. That's why people do business with other people. That's a huge difference. And he had hurdles. Here's the thing. People are like, well, that's fine. He can do that because that's him. He's got experience, and he's part of the area. He's from here. No, he was brand new to the continent. He's from South Africa. No, I'm sorry. He's brand new to the Western Hemisphere. Okay? He's new to the continent. He's a new real estate agent. He's new to the business here. He had no roots to it. His broker did not have a huge brand presence in my brain. He's with Sotheby's. I didn't know Sotheby's in real estate as one of the brands in my head. I thought they auctioned off Fabergé eggs to people. It didn't matter to me because he was the brand to me. There's 1,400, give or take, 1,400 agents in Oakville. And I have lived there and been exposed to these agents for 30 years. I'm 40 now. For 30 of my years, I've seen your billboards and your bus shelters and your faces on bus benches. I've never bought a house from somebody because I sat on their face, okay? That may be over the line, but it's true. Just be honest with me. One of the reasons why you put your face on billboards and on buses and everywhere else is because you like to see your face. Let's be honest. I like to see mine too. It's hard to turn the right way to see my face, but let's be honest, there's some vanity in there. I'm in the most vain industry there is, people who stand on stage and do this. So let's be honest, one of the reasons you do it is to see yourself, okay? It's not about driving business with it. You know how many billboards Petrus has? 0. You know whose face is on his card? Nobody's. Because it's about the connection. It's about the relationship. That's what makes the difference. That's what makes the connection. And if you're all about community, community is a verb. It's an action, not a statement. Here's a friend of mine, Melanie. That's her on Twitter, by the way. Tell her I say hi. She's in Fort McMurray, Alberta. This is a slow time of the year for them. So what she decided to do was feature 30 businesses in Fort McMurray in 30 days. Do you think she's looked at in the community as somebody who supports the community? You think every one of those business owners now knows her? They could become a client themselves? If the video only gets 7 views, you've affected 30 business owners, 30 influential people in your community by only wanting to feature them. I love what Melanie does. You'd be a great advantage in your business if you followed her and saw what she did on Instagram and on YouTube and on Facebook. Remember, tell Melanie again I say what's up. She's awesome. But do. It's actions, it's verbs, it's what we do out there, okay? One of my other issues out there in technology is QR codes, okay? QR codes are fine. It's a great technology on its own for decades. They've been used for logistics and boarding passes and sports tickets and hospital wristbands. Awesome. The problem is when we started using them for marketing purposes. Okay? I've seen QR codes on billboards on the side of the highway. What do you want me to do right now? Saw a billboard in Ottawa from the RCMP, from our federal police, that said, "Don't text and drive." And it had a QR code on it. That's entrapment. You can't do that, okay? Here's an example from the John Deere Classic, which has on the right, it says scan for Android app. On the left, it says scan for iPhone app for their golf app, which is smart. They split the factions. Android people don't like iPhone people don't like Android people, and there's 7 Canadians in the background saying, "BlackBerry's still relevant," and that's how it works. And it's great until you realize the sign beside it says use of a mobile device is prohibited in this area. Using technology for the sake of using technology is not smart. It can blur your audience, it can blur your focus, and it takes it away your potential talent, okay? Here's another code. This is on a real estate sign in Alberta. That's the photo. Somebody pulled their truck over to take a photo just to send to us to show it. And then she walked up to the sign, and underneath the grass is a QR code on the bottom. Don't use these because you think you should. Here's one on a building. I'll give you a second to realize why this wouldn't work well. Unless I'm Spider-Man. I won't name the company, but you can probably figure out the color scheme. Don't want to be that guy. Here's one I did like with the QR code. It says quiet neighbors across the street. It's a cemetery across the street, right? So I overlooked the QR code part of it. It was good. It was smart. I liked the way it happened. But here's the flip side of it. Here's a mailer that went out. It says, who would you rather represent you? Part-time agent, a mom, or full-time professionals? 2 white dudes in suits. This went over smashingly, by the way. Oh, wait, no, it didn't. It was a train wreck, and it went on our show. And it goes into my talks, and ta-da, you're terrible. This is what we need. Marketing for the sake of marketing doesn't make sense. You got to connect properly in brand, in your voice, with your audience the way you should. Let me give you an example of this on Facebook, okay? That everything here is public. Charles, a realtor, says, okay, I just passed a house. The morgue was wheeling out a body. As a realtor, what should I do? It hurts. I realize I see this, I'm like, this is the greatest day of my life. Because not only is he a realtor, but he has realtor friends. And he's asking for their opinion when they saw a dead body come out of a house. What is my opportunity here? It's glorious. And since it's Facebook and it's set to public, I get to show it to all of you. So back up to our friend Charles here. I should really censor out his name, but I won't. Don says, keep driving. I'm like, oh, come on, Don, that's reasonable. It doesn't make for good TV like that. Mike says, see if they need to list the house. Huh? Awesome. Mary says, keep driving. I'm like, people, you're not helping me here. I need unethical people. Let's do this. Mary says, keep driving, but also do a mail follow-up or cold call in a couple weeks. Like, come on, Charles, have a heart. But there's opportunity here. All right, the next one says, Luke says, I'm sorry, my friend, I have morals. I like Luke. Glenn says something weird. Connie says, send your consoles and try and a tray of food. They'll love you for it. They'll call you to sell or refer you to people. Because that's how the real world works, right? I don't even know what she meant by consoles, like Xboxes or... It's like, this is how she thinks this is going to work. Hey, Jeff. Yeah? Do you remember when Dad died? Yeah, of course I do. Remember who sent us the plate of Gouda? Oh yeah, that was Connie. She also sent us a PlayStation. It was weird. should send her some business for taking advantage of her father's death. We really should. So next up on the screen, Linda says, get the listing. Vera says, I wish they had a thumbs down button. I like Vera too. Charles then tags Luke and says, question mark, which means, what's your deal, bro? Why don't you like my status? And Luke says, yes, there are some things I won't do. I'm like, oh, we're ending the thread on a good note. That's great. Except then Charles says, come on, realtors, your wheels should be turning. And Leonard ends it with, lawyers go to the funerals, so should you. Do you now see why I get upset at marketing tactics? Because these things happen, that every instance is not an opportunity for business. All these things. But now we have websites like obituaryleads.com. For only $1 a lead, you can find out when they're dead. People helping people is their tagline, not dead people helping people. And on the right, if you look on the screen, there's a thing, a logo that says live support, which is funny and ironic in a couple of ways. So of course, what do? I left it. No, actually, I clicked on it because I had a few questions myself if I want some dead people leads. And I wrote, and I actually changed my name. I called myself Realtor. Because it's not my real name. And John comes onto the screen and he says, can I help you? Can you talk? And I was curious and I said, well, John, do you suggest leaving flyers in the casket or on top? And then John left the conversation. Still don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here, John, with my casket. I gotta have this opportunity. I gotta be able to do something. So, y'all remember my realtor, my unrealtor, my man, Petrus over there? You thought you hated him before. Wait till you see this. So we bought the house, and since it's in East Oakville, the selling price was $8.6 billion for it, and that's just for the land on the house. And so, like, the transaction was done, right? We're good to go. We've got it. I'm like, high five, and we're done. And I won't hear from him for 15 years, right? Of course, because we're good. We're not going to buy another house tomorrow. It's not going to happen. But he was looking for something to give me for the holidays. So at home, we celebrate both Hanukkah and Christmas. It's awesome. It's like a month of awesome. Just stuff every day. So he's like, what do I give the guy who's got whatever he wants already? And so he talks to Allison. And he finds out, that I'm a huge fan of, growing up, I'm a comic book geek. I grew up collecting them. My first business was a comic book store in my basement, which is a funny thing because when it's in your basement, nobody can come in. And so we closed the business quickly. And so my brother won comic and he never paid me, which is called accounts receivable. And so found out, and I now have like 42 statues. I go to Comic-Con Toronto all the time, and I'm a geek. I love this stuff. And he finds out my favorite character is Wolverine, the original Wolverine, from the comic book days. And he also remembers how much I hate QR codes, right? So he calls me, he sends me a text, actually. And this is important, by the way, when he sends me a text, is matching your communication with your audience. Okay, this goes back to even the millennial stuff. People are like, well, how do we talk? And you guys love using the phone. I know you do. It's part of the business. It's like, get them on the phone. And I'm like, but if I don't like to use it, that's different. Right? Everything has changed and nothing is different. How we communicate has slid a bit sometimes. Email, text. Make sure you follow the preference of the customer. It's like my dentist. I hate talking on the phone. I hate it. I cannot stand it. So I emailed my dentist a month ago. No, I'm sorry, last year. And then took a month for this to happen. But anyways, a year ago. And I sent him an email from the airport. And I'm like, next week, I'd like to come in for cleaning. Wednesday or Thursday is fine, anytime. I don't have a job, so I'll come whatever time you want. And I hopped on a plane and I landed in Miami. And I land in Miami and there's a voicemail. And I'm like, the only reason I listen to voicemail is to get rid of the notification that I have a voicemail. And I listen. It's like, hey, Scott, it's the dentist. Just give us a call back and we'll book that appointment. I haven't called them back on principle. It's been a year. My teeth are hideous. Match the communication preference. My mom even texts now, by the way. Now, she signs each line of her text with Mom. And if you're not laughing, you're part of the problem. And I write her back, I'm like, Ma, you don't have to sign your name to each line. I know it's from you. And she writes back, I'm your mother. I can do whatever I please. Mom. Touché. You match the communication methodology. Now, I know why you want to talk on the phone, but frankly, I don't care. And especially when you want to jump the gun. If I text a listing, you call me, that's creepy. That's creepy. If you want to talk to me, then send in a text or an email and say, hey, this could go a lot faster. We probably get a lot more answers for you if we just do a quick call. You want to do that? Just bridge it a bit. Don't jump the gun. Talk to me that. Petrus knows this. He wants to bring my gift over. He doesn't dare phone me. He texts. He's like, I got something for you. I was going to wait until Christmas, and I can't. And I'm like, is it donuts? It's like, no. I'm like, son of a... You set the precedent. So he shows up. He's got a gift basket for Allison of stuff, and he's got an envelope for me. I'm like, donuts can't fit in the envelope. And he's like, I had this made for you from a local illustrator in town, custom for you. And I'm like, what could it possibly be? And I open it up, and it's a custom drawing of Wolverine slicing a QR code. With my tattoo on his arm of unlearn. And then I did something I never thought I'd do in my life. I hugged a realtor. How much thought is put into that? But see, here's the difference though. He did it because that's the type of person he is. It's just a no-brainer for him to be amazing at connecting with clients in real estate. You only have to be average because everybody else sucks. That's the new Success Tour motto, by the way. To be successful, you only have to be mediocre. With an eagle hitting the side of a mountain. It's not exactly, it's like demotivational posters. But that's what I mean. You don't like cold calling? Then don't do it, please. You don't like knocking on random strangers' doors? Don't. Please don't. Nurture your customer base, your clients, your people in your community. Be good, do good things. And those things do come back. They come back in spades. Remember, if you are your authentic self, you have no competition. I have one more thing to show you guys. And before I do, please join Allison and I on the UnPodcast. It comes out every week. Just go to unpodcast.com. It's a show, by the way. It's video and audio. You can watch it on YouTube, everything else. There's no charge. I'm not selling it to you. That's Allison, by the way. Yes. We met on Twitter. I win Twitter. I have the greatest ROI in history. I have the woman of my dreams that I didn't think existed in this world because of Twitter. So everybody can stick it. They say Twitter's not worth it. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm awesome. She's my muse. She's my love, and she's the person I work with every single day. And I get to be me, and we get to do it on that show. The show is me being like this, which is ridiculous, and her like, okay, all right, simmer down. So, and she'll say something smart. She's great. She's the best banter I have in my life. We just recorded our 100th show. We brought a studio audience in Burlington at B-Town Sound. It was awesome. So please join us. We never thought it would last 5 episodes, so 100 was awesome. Thank you. So the final thing I have to show you before I go, and you've been wonderful today and been very kind to a person who gets angry, is my favorite tweet of all time, okay? It's not the tweet I'm about to show you, but the tweet right after it, the reply to it. So, Men's Humor tweets, this morning I gave birth to a food baby, and I think Taco Bell is the father, okay? Right? You thought you'd get out of here with not some more inappropriate things. Right before lunch, by the way, you're welcome. How does Taco Bell reply to this as a brand? You can't stoop to their level. There's no lower form of humor than men's humor. And Taco Bell replies with the only reply that was only possible at this time, and they said, I want a DNA test. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day. I appreciate it. Thank you.